professional.
You gotta start now?
Yeah, should we not? Yeah, let's start. I'm not. All right, hello everyone. If everyone could just take a seat real quick and we can get started. We're just going to start and they'll be quiet. They're finding their seats. Okay. Nice to see you. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Yocheved Gourarie Kindness Awards ceremony. Welcome to family and friends, teachers and students, and welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting kindness, for celebrating kindness. You being here shows that you care. My name is Rashi Marcus, and I'm a proud team member of this incredible initiative. And on behalf of the Meaningful Life Center and all the staff, it is a great honor and privilege to be here. I want to do a quick shout out to Sarah Zohar in Israel, who with the director who does literally tirelessly works day in, day out, night out. It's the middle of the night, but I know you're watching, so thank you for everything you do. On the first day of this month of Sivan, the Torah says, Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged Ahar. And Rashi asked the famous question, Vayichan, and he rested Bnei Yisrael near the mountain. Why singular and he, when it should be plural, and they rested? To which Rashi responds the famous quote, Ke'ish echad b'lev echad, the Jewish people were one man with one heart. Think about that for a minute. My joy and your joy is our joy. My sorrow and your sorrow is our sorrow. We share one heart. When we reach out to a friend in need, we are in fact mending our collective heart. When we are uplifting somebody else, we're uplifting our own heart. When we are there for a friend, we are sharing in our heart. And tonight, we celebrate, and a piece of our heart, we celebrate the life and legacy of Yocheved Gurari. Tonight, on Yud Bey Sivan, is Yocheved's 27th birthday. So may her neshama have an aliyah, may her neshama continue to burn bright, and her acts of kindness will continue with each and every one of us because we are her heart here on earth. On my way over here, I was thinking that there are many award ceremonies. There are conferences that celebrate being the best in your profession, beauty pageants that celebrate outer beauty, physical beauty. There are competitions that celebrate talents, music, sports, all kinds of awards. But this award is unique in the way that it celebrates the heart. It highlights acts of kindness and inner beauty. It focuses the spotlight on humanity at its essence. Looking around this room is humbling. It's a joining of hearts and souls, of people that care about being kind. I mean, this is the place to be. You need a favor, a word of acknowledgement, a compliment. Look to your right, look to your left. These are your people. This room is pulsating with kindness. And you can help us continue spreading kindness by scanning the QR codes. We're giving out bookmarks. And to our dear students, I encourage you to scan these QR codes. Your parents can help you if you need any help, to nominate teachers and fellow classmates that showed you kindness. To our fellow parents, I encourage you, if you can help us continue supporting this amazing cause, and donate. To each and every one of you, please check out our beautiful website, kindnessaward.com, to read full nomination stories, kindness stories, get updates and emails, and so much more. Together, we will continue to plant the seeds of kindness and watch them grow. We will ensure that kindness blossoms. And remember that kindness is contagious. You smile at 4 people, they will then go smile at 4 more, and those will in return smile at 4 more. It is creating a ripple effect. Imagine the impact. COVID's got nothing on kindness. One day, my children were acting like kids do once in a rare blue moon, and were throwing unkind words at each other. So I remembered an experiment I once saw in a documentary with my father many years ago about a Japanese researcher that did research on water. He took bottles of water and he put beautiful, kind, uplifting words on some of them. He wrote, you matter, you're beautiful, kind. He then took other bottles and wrote the opposite, destructive, harmful words. You are worthless, you are ugly, nobody needs you. He then froze these water bottles, looked under a microscope at the molecules, and literally the ones that had beautiful, encouraging words on them, the molecules were bright, like snowflakes, symmetrical, glowing. The other ones were brown, yellow edges, and were totally unsymmetrical, and you can actually see the physical effect of kindness on molecules and the physical part of the world. So I show this to my children and try to explain to them that words not only have power over your emotions, and we tell them always don't hurt feelings, but physically, the human body is made up of water, the world is made up of water, and it's just one small experiment to show that words can literally affect physically a human being. Of course, the next day I saw my son bullying a bottle of water, and he told me he's going to see if it's turning brown. So we're a work in progress in the Marcus family, but we're getting there. But the point stands, kindness has a very deep impact. So join me tonight as we celebrate the people that have gone above and beyond to be kind, to be there, to care, and to love. I want to take a moment to thank a man who does exactly that, who goes above and beyond. A man who is there and genuinely cares, a man who puts not only his financial support, but also his emotional and physical support, his heart and soul into this award. On behalf of all of us, we want to say a huge thank you to Ellie Nash. We're sorry that we're sorry you can't be here tonight, but we thank you for everything you do for the Yocheved Gourarie Kindness Award. And now it is my absolute privilege to call upon the dear father of Yocheved, the backbone and heart of this award. Avrami helps thousands of people that are struggling with different challenges. He provides a listening ear and extends an open heart. He's a living example of goodness and kindness, and it is a real honor to work with you. And so without further ado, please join me in welcoming to the stage Avrami Gurari.
Thank you, Rashi. Good evening, everyone. Our family stands here tonight in humility, recognizing those who have touched lives with their acts of goodness and kindness. We are humbled and privileged to be a part of this very important foundational effort. The campaign continues to inspire. Folks are talking, the paradigm is shifting, priorities are changing. We are so excited to be a part of this. I'm sure Yocheved would have been, indeed is, very proud of what we've all accomplished here. I want to thank Rabbi Simon Jacobson and the Meaningful Life Center for hosting this event. Simon and Shandy. You mean more to us than you'll ever know. We are deeply indebted for your support and encouragement. Thank you to the schools for partnering with us. I had the opportunity to speak at some of the schools, drumming up interest and participation. This, for me, has been one of the highlights of this process. I really enjoyed my interactions with the students. Thank you to my family, Dini, Levi, Racheli, Yehuda, for your love and encouragement. Sarah Zohar, we could not have done this without you. You are driven, you are passionate, you are a force. You've taught me so much about perseverance and hard work. I'm so grateful we crossed paths. Wishing you and your family continued blessings for all that's good. I'd like to thank those that helped bring this together. Rashi Marcus, the Meaningful Life Center team. COL Live, Yocheved Saidov, Sarah Langzam, Panina Raf, Chani of Memulo, the Archers, this is where we're at, Shmaryo Hackner and his team, Shulam Rosenblatt, Abe Sandhouse, and to all of you who came and who are watching online, thank you. I'd like to thank Ruth and Joe Weingarten for planting the seed that started this. Thank you for your continued support. When I wrote these words, I did not know that I'd be surprised by your presence here tonight. So we are so happy that you're joining us for this event. Frady and Ellie Nash. I thought Ellie would be here tonight, he's not. Not sure how to thank you guys. Suffice it to say, you've become quite the force in our lives, guiding us, teaching us, showing us compassion, kindness. Didi and I both look up to you in so many ways. I've said this many times, so forgive me if this sounds old. I wished we had never met, at least not this way. But now that we have, it's clear that it was meant to be. We have derived much nechama, much comfort for having been in your orbit. Wishing you both, your wonderful family, continued blessing for all that's good and plentiful. May God give you the strength to continue doing the important work that you are. We love you more than you'll ever know. So, what is this word kindness that we throw around? What does it mean? What is it? Is kindness simply the act of being nice to someone so that they may enjoy a positive human interaction? Is it about the singular idea of helping out a distressed friend? Perhaps there's more. Let's try to understand this on a deeper level so that when we are kind with intention, with resolve, and with a deeper appreciation of what it is that's driving us to do good and why. Many years ago, I was a counselor in Camp Gan Yisrael. I wasn't a good counselor, but I was a good musician. So they tapped me for Color War, and they asked me to write a song for Color War. And our team, I don't remember what the other team was, but our team was a team of tzedakah, or kindness, I guess. And I said, write a song about kindness. I thought about it, and I remember feeling very wary of being regular and uninteresting. I don't want to write about the familiar image of the tired old man in the street who has a few pennies thrown his way. I decided there must be more, something deeper. I chanced upon an idea that helped frame kindness for me in a more creative and meaningful way. My good friend Yossi Lu, who saves all this stuff, he sent me the lyrics from so many years ago. So I'll read you the lyrics I had written, and then we'll unpack it. Please forgive the camp-style prose and rhyming. I've since graduated to Sting and Bob Dylan and so on. So I'll read you the song. It's very short. Let me tell you, Yossel, my dear, a father is teaching his son the meaning of a mitzvah, the act of a tzedakah, what a yid does for everyone. A slow walk in the forest will take. I'll show you how Hashem made the world. All the plants and the animals, even creatures so low, a pure sense of giving do show. Now here's the money shot. Earth, the lowest form of all, a vessel for plants to thrive. Fields and pastures for animals to graze, gives chayas for man to survive. And then I took it home, Magidvar of Yaakov. The lesson is clear, my son. A Jew is born to share and give, and through this the Geula will come. Every camp song has to have something about Geula in it. So what are we talking about over here? We're referring to the four basic manifestations of physical being. Doimim, Tzomeach, Chai, Medaber. Daimim refers to something that's inanimate, a stone, a rock, a mineral, a liquid. From there we go to Tzomeach, something that grows, a plant that grows. From there we go to Chai, a breathing, living animal. And finally, the human being who possesses the intellect, the Medaber, who both grows, lives, and so on. We're not talking about four separate ideas over here. These are not in a vacuum. There's interconnectivity here, interdependence. The daimim, the rock, allows a tzomeach to grow. So the plant needs earth to grow, which in turn feeds the chai, feeds the animal. The animal grazes in the pasture. And then the medaber, who's the carnivore, most of us anyway, eating meat. So it's a cyclical process. And then the human being in turn cultivates the land, so that this process is perpetually in motion. One cannot exist with the other. That's the lesson that I took from this and expressed kindness through. Kindness is built into creation. It's like God designed it. Each component depends on the other. Each knows to be there for the other. A truly symbiotic, charitable process. So we can learn from these physical manifestations and understand that we're all in this together, we all depend on one another. When we give, we get. It's a party effort. I would say, therefore, that to be kind is to be godly, to walk as God would want us to behave in His way, to reflect the godly. We are not only talking about charitable giving, which to be sure is important. We are talking of the generous spirit that transcends the material component. We must develop a sensitivity for others, almost a sixth sense of how and when to be there for others. This does not cost any money and cannot be paid for. The Gemara in Baba Basra quotes Rabbi Yitzchak that says, anyone who gives a pruta to a poor person receives 6 blessings, but yet whoever consoles him with words of comfort and encouragement receives 11 blessings. How does this happen? How do we achieve this? How do we internalize the importance of kindness? How do we live in this elevated way so that it becomes second nature? Is it solely about being nice to someone else? Is it merely about giving of ourselves, materially, emotionally? Is it always, mostly, about putting others before ourselves? Perhaps yes, perhaps not. Perhaps it's a little more nuanced. Maybe it's less about the other person and more about ourselves and our own growth, our own self-improvement. As Dini and I explore ways to heal and grow, we have embraced the idea that to heal or help ourselves, we must start with patient zero, ourselves. When we are an improved version of ourselves, we are better positioned to be there for others in a wholesome way. When we are kind to ourselves, we create a better me for others to gain from. Indeed, in my many discussions with folks who are struggling with their children's compromised mental health, I encourage them to start with their own therapy and healing. All else will fall into place. V'ahavta l'reacha kamecha. We all know this to mean that surely we love ourselves, and on the surface, since we believe that this means we love ourselves, we assume that by loving ourselves, we'll treat others just as well, just as wonderfully. We should similarly treat others. But to express this in a more nuanced way, kamecha, v'ahavta l'reacha kamecha. If we treat ourselves with kindness, perhaps, with acceptance and love, if we truly accept our flawed, imperfect selves, it'll be easy and indeed a natural outcome that we treat others favorably and with love. It starts with us, it starts with our work, with our sensitivities. And I want to read to you, in the name of Eli just asked me to deliver these words, and what I'll be quoting here are his words. What has become clear, and this is Ellie speaking, what has become clear on my own journey is that the further along we are on the healing path, the more work we recognize we can or must do as an individual. Healing work is the same as life's work. Anyone who thinks they are okay is an indication that they have not started the work yet. Anyone who starts on this path to heal anxiety, depression, sadness, or trauma, we still come to the inevitable conclusion that there's a lot more to do internally on our own. It's not about deprecating ourselves, putting us down, but rather there is much opportunity for healing and self-improvement using lessons from all that experienced, from childhood to adulthood. The opportunity is there. We start with ourselves, and the world around us will surely benefit. And I can tell you, thank you, Ellie, first of all, and I can tell you that I've seen this working with people, that we really do our own work, that we can be there to help others. We've got to develop that sensitivity in our own lives. When we make Kiddush, the minhag is that we cover the challah. Why? One of the answers given is so as not to embarrass the challah. Why would the challah be embarrassed? Well, the halacha is that if we have bread and wine in front of us, we make a bracha on the bread first. So here on Kiddush on Friday night, since we're making Kiddush, before we're eating the challah, we ensure that we're not going to embarrass the challah, and we cover it. But really, does the challah have feelings? It's an inanimate object. What is this game we are playing? The explanation is that we do not worry about the challah at all. Rather, it's a lesson for us, again, starting with us. For the person to create within ourselves a feeling of sensitivity and kindness, to make us accustomed to behaving in a way that is sensitive to our surroundings. A culture of selflessness, if you will. Let us all integrate within ourselves a natural flow of self-acceptance and, by extension, a charitable disposition where we can truly and fully be there for our fellow human being. Before we give out the awards, I would like to submit one final nomination that just came in. I'd like to ask Shayna Weiss-Lieberman to stand up and read her submission.
When I started high school, it was
One second.
Okay.
Make a ladder.
Good? Okay. When I started high school, it was a very difficult transition for me. When no one else noticed, I was constantly on the verge of tears for the first few weeks of 9th grade. My friend did. Even though we had just met, she took one look at me and saw the distress on my face and asked me with tenderness if I was okay and was very kind towards me when I started crying as I could no longer hold back tears. When I adjusted to high school, I was no longer on the verge of tears constantly, but I continued to have a hard time. My friend always saw me. When I was sad, no one else saw the grief on my face or asked, but she took one look at me and in a split second asked me what was up. It was almost uncanny, her ability to pick up on my mood. She listened to me with care and concern, even if she did not have the answers. I was in so much pain then, I can't imagine how much worse off I would have been without a good friend, even though it didn't feel like that at the time because there was so much hurt. I'm grateful that she saw me then and wanted to care and connect with me, even with her own struggles that I would not learn about until senior year. Throughout our friendship, she would continue to show care and kindness in her gentle, soft-spoken manner. When I had my tonsils removed in 11th grade, she came to my house and spent time with me, bringing me goodies to make me feel better. And again, when I had eye surgery when I was 23, she made the hour-long public transportation trek to my house to deliver baked goods and to behold my bloodshot eye, which she definitely found interesting given her love of science and spooky things. On Purim one year, knowing my love for dark chocolate, she made me a mishloach mana with homemade chocolate bark in it. During COVID, we had daily check-ins, or daily chickens, as we called it, where we supported each other through the badness. It was all the little things, the ways she showed up, that turned out to be very big things after all, and turned this 5-foot woman into a giant in her own right. I miss her ever-present grace and kindness that came with unexpected wit, humor, and deep intelligence. I don't think I'll ever have another friend like Yocheved Gourarie.
Thank you, Shana. Thank you. Hearing these stories gives our families much comfort. I just wanted to mention that I believe Yocheved introduced Shana to her husband Avi, who too is here tonight with us. Yocheved continues to teach and inspire, and we are heartened that so many honor her memory in this way. Thank you all for coming, and now the awards. Okay. We are giving out 6 awards tonight. Two of them are for teachers, a male teacher and a female teacher, and 4 friends. Each teacher will win a cash prize of $10,000, and each friend a prize of $1,000. I'm going to read the submission for our first winner. Before I met this teacher, I never thought that there could be such a nice, loving, caring, kind Rebbe in the world. Somebody that I could talk to about anything and ask anything, and he would listen and answer with love and kindness to the highest degree. Even just seeing him and his bright smile already gave healing to whatever issue I may have had. There was one Shabbos I was having a particular challenge that was eating me up and troubling me the entire day. And I could not get my head off it and thought it would be the end of me. I went that Shabbos to this Rebbe for the Shabbos meal, and towards the end, the Rebbe noticed something was up with me, something was wrong. After a while, we got into a discussion about it, and everything came up. But he did not make a big deal of it, and just opened a Tanya and explained to me how my issue wasn't so bad, and that I should not worry. This saved me and gave me much relief. He is without a doubt the best teacher I ever had. This award goes to Rabbi Mendy Oster of Darchei Menachem. It's all yours.
Okay, so I'd like to thank Rabbi Gurari, the entire Gourarie family, and everyone that's involved in this wonderful organization for all the wonderful work that they do, promoting kindness, sensitivity towards other people. And along with that, they encourage the idea of Hakaras HaTov, that people show recognition towards others. And I want to thank them on behalf of myself and my family for this wonderful gift that they're giving us. And Hashem should mention that this organization should grow from strength to strength. And along with that, I also want to show Hakaras HaTov to the Bacher that wrote this beautiful entry. He took the time to write it, and it means a lot. I happen to know who it is, just from hearing it. And this Bacher himself is a Bacher that is constantly thinking about other people and sensitive towards other people. And in yeshiva is always thinking about another. In the year Tafshin Lamed Vav, the Rebbe established the Mivtza Ahavas Yisrael. This was the 10th and final Mivtza that the Rebbe established from the 10 Mivtzaim. And what the Rebbe spoke then was that, similar to the other Mivtzaim, like Mivtza Tefillin, wasn't just that you should wear Tefillin yourself, was to encourage other Yidden to put on Tefillin. So similarly, the Rebbe said, Mivtza Ahavas Yisrael is to encourage other Yidden, every single Yid, that V'ahavta l'reacha kamecha applies to every single Yid. And although it doesn't seem like an easy task to convince someone to have Ahavas Yisrael, but if you present it to them in a way of Ahavas Yisrael, then if your speaking will be with Ahavas Yisrael, it will have the effect on them to have Ahavas Yisrael, and to such an extent that it will cause others to have Ahavas Yisrael, and so on and so forth. So essentially what this organization is doing, I think, is really the Rebbe's Mivtza of Ahavas Yisrael. They're spreading Ahavas Yisrael amongst others, and they're doing it in a way of Ahavas Yisrael, in a very nice way. Just wanted to share one personal story, not with the Talmud, but it's something that a number of years ago in Mivtzaim, I would go with my brother in Mivtzaim, and we would go to many people, and after a short time, most of the people would begin to put on tefillin. We had one person, an Israeli, that was especially cold to us. He always gave us a cold shoulder. And we asked him to put on tefillin. He just didn't want to talk to us, and he would say he's an atheist, and he didn't believe, and he doesn't want to hear about this. But we just continued to come, for a while. I went away after that, and I came back, and I see he's putting on tefillin with my brother. And from there, it didn't stop there. It went, it grew from to a very close relationship with him. When he closed his business, we used to come visit in his house every week, put him on tefillin, talk with him at length. So one time I asked him, what changed? You always told us you didn't believe. You were cold to us. Why did you all of a sudden change around? So he shared with us that when he was younger, he lived in Eretz Yisrael. He was a traditional family, he wasn't from. And he was one time riding his bike on a Friday night, and his neighbors were coming home from shul. They weren't happy about the fact that he was riding his bike on Shabbos, and they told him a sharp word, and someone pushed him off of his bike. When he fell to the floor, and he made the decision that he doesn't want to have anything to do with Yiddishkeit or anything that Yidden represent. So for years, every time we came to him, he just didn't want to talk to us. So we didn't do any convincing. We just came every week. We smiled to him. We shared something nice. We showed him that we're there for him. We would bring him things. And when he realized that, he changed over his entire attitude. We didn't really have to do any convincing. So when he shared that with me, I thought that was a very good lesson. It's not just with him, it's with many people around, that they're just waiting for somebody to reach out, to show a little bit of kindness to them. This could be your friend, your next door neighbor, your student. I, Baruch Hashem, have the opportunity to work in Darchim Menachem. And the yeshiva, that's really the focus of the entire yeshiva, to focus individually on every student, to try to give them what they need and to show them that we care about them. And on that note, I want to thank all of my fellow staff and students that surprised me here tonight. And the Rebbe always said that, with mention from the Baal Shem Tov, that the love that the Eibishter has towards every single Yid is more than the love that parents have towards an only child. So when you're showing kindness towards another Yid, it's not just anybody you're showing kindness towards, it's the Eibishter's. It's more than the Eibishter's only child. B'ni b'chayri Yisrael. And the Eibishter pays back in full. I've seen it myself, and I'm sure everyone else does too. Yaiser mimasha Baal Bayis, Aisem Ma'ani, Ya'ani Yasem Baal Bayis. You get back much more than what you give. The Eibishter should repay all those that give kindness to others, and this is something we can all grow in. And this is definitely the thing that will hasten Mashiach. Avas Chinam is what will bring the Gula. So thank you again, and Chazak Ve'amat.
Thank you, Rabbi Oster. Beautiful to listen to you, and beautiful that Darchei Menachem is represented. I love that school. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to my son Levi, who's going to continue with the awards.
Okay. How's everyone doing? Okay, so we're going to do the two Classmate awards. We're going to do them one at a time. So let's get the first one. Okay. This is titled, "He Stood By Me and Helped Me Through It All." Depression is a serious mental illness that affects millions of people worldwide. It can make you feel isolated, hopeless, and helpless. During my darkest days, I was fortunate enough to have a friend who stood by me and helped me through it all. His name is Gedalia, and he is the most caring and compassionate person I know. Gedalia and I met in yeshiva in 2021, and we quickly became close friends. He was always there for me, whether it was to lend an ear or offer advice. When I started struggling with depression, he immediately noticed the signs right away. He didn't judge me or try to fix me. Instead, he listened and supported me through every step of my journey. Gedalia never gave up on me, even when I gave up on myself. He would check in on me regularly and make sure I was taking care of myself. His unwavering support gave me the strength to keep fighting. Through Gedalia's kindness and compassion, I learned that it's okay to ask for help and that there is no shame in seeking treatment for mental illness. He taught me that true friendship means being there for each other through thick and thin. Today, I am in a much better place thanks to Gedalia's impact on my life. His kindness and compassion inspired me to become a mental health advocate and help others who are struggling with depression. Gedalia has made an immense impact on my life during my battle with depression. His unwavering support and kindness helped me through the darkest days of my life. He taught me the importance of seeking help when needed and showed me what true friendship looks like. This award goes to Gedalia Schatzkammer from Yocheved Masifta, 11th grade. One more? One more. I thought you weren't going to get any pictures, huh? Okay. All right, this is for you, and that's for you. Okay. Yocheved Torah, I had fond memories. I'm serious. Okay. Next one, no title. Over the past year, Akiva Silverman has changed my life. He gives me pointers on my behavior or when I do things that would make me want to change the way I act, and much more. Over the last year, I think I have grown a lot because of him. Before this year, I would misbehave and annoy many kids for fun, a lot. And now, I think twice before I want to do wrong to others or to do things that are wrong in general. I would not have come this far without him. He has made me a kinder person. I don't think he realizes what he has done for me. And this award goes to Akiva Silverman from Darchei Menachem, 6th grade. Okay, very cool. Darchei Menachem has they have a fundraiser going on right now. I think it's in the last hours. It's a great school.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this time, I am pleased to call up my mother to give out the rest of the awards. Dina Gourarie.
Thank you, Levi. That's good. Good evening, all. Wow. Yocheved, you did it again. You really are my greatest teacher, and I love you forever. Your light and love and kindness is what inspires and brings everyone together tonight. Thank you. It's the message we want to spread. And we are together. Avrami, Levi, Racheli, Yehuda, Yocheved's grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends, our growing circle of friends. I echo Avrami in thanking those that made it possible for tonight to be the celebration it is. Sarah Zohar and Rabbi Jacobson, the amazing Mamulo team, the power couples that light our way, Frady and Ellie Nash, Ruth and Joe Weingarten, Shandy and Simon Jacobson. We thank Rashi Marcus, the MLC team, COL Live, Sarah Langzam, Panina Raff, she was busy with every school getting our forms in, Dr. Fox, Yocheved Seidoff, Chani of Mamulo, the Arches, look at this beautiful place, Shmar Yahu, Meshulam Rosenblatt, Abe Sandhouse, the school's teachers, staff, and students, the winners, the support from our community, and all of our guests. We're so grateful to all those that participate by helping fund this important initiative. We feel loved and supported by every single person here tonight and those watching online. We appreciate everyone in the schools supporting our efforts. Thank you to everyone that noticed the kindness around them and took the time to nominate a teacher or a friend. The stories submitted told of caring, compassionate, loving acts that make a difference, of selflessness, and of empathy. We celebrate all that tonight, although we only award a few. I'm excited to invite or award a wonderful teacher from Machon LeYehadus. And I will mention that it's my uncle, Rabbi Majeski School, so another warm place in my heart. And this is a $10,000 prize for Mrs. Yehudis Cohen. One second while I read her nomination. You can get back up again, or not. Mrs. Cohen, you can stay here. You can come up if you'd like while I read it. Mrs. Yehudis Cohen is an assistant principal and a teacher in Machon LeYehadus. I had a unique opportunity of observing her special kindness and dedication to my friend Miriam. Name was changed for privacy reasons. Miriam, unfortunately, was horribly abused physically and mentally and came to Machon without any money and understanding how to proceed with her life. She was depressed, alcohol addicted, and needed lots of help. Here comes Mrs. Cohen. I have observed her helping Miriam every single day for the past few years. She adopted her as a daughter in every possible way. Mrs. Cohen never gave up on her. Recently, I spoke to Miriam and she told me, if it wasn't for Mrs. Cohen, I would not be from anymore. I was disappointed in everyone, and she is the only person who loves me unconditionally and cares about me. I can say that kind people exist because of her. She is a true chassid. I was crying after this because I knew how true this was. Mrs. Cohen has given herself to her students. She has helped me as well on so many occasions, free of charge, giving hours of mashpia support and guidance. I can truly say she is an incredible person. Thank you.
I usually have a box to stand on. Thank you so much to the Gourarie family for this tremendous honor. I'm truly humbled. My earliest and most consistent memories growing up are of my parents, and particularly my mother, always being there for others in any way possible. It's because of this upbringing that I am who I am, and I thank my parents for this special education. I thank my husband, who always supports me in all of my endeavors, and my children for graciously sharing me with so many other people. I thank the staff and students of Machon Liadis, headed by Rabbi Majeski. Each day, I become a kinder person by being surrounded by everyone there, including the young woman who submitted this. Yocheved's friend Rivka wrote a letter to Yocheved that's on the Kindness Award website. She wrote, "Arriving at school without the latest snacks or toys meant being an outsider. Not having the social skills to cross the divide meant that other kids reacted as kids. They pointed, teased, and excluded. You were the first to reach your hand over that invisible divide. Looking back, you taught me more than how to perfectly draw hearts in pre-1A or write in script when I was struggling in the 3rd grade. You taught me how to be friends by being the best one. You were the first to reach out your hand." I'm accepting this award on behalf of Yocheved and thousands of people in our community, young and old, who are doing small acts of kindness without fanfare or publicity that make a huge difference in people's lives. These types of acts of kindness aren't actions that are usually seen by others. Often there is not even an awareness that the person is at the receiving end of the kindness. And just as often, if they are aware, they are not in a place in their lives where they can show gratitude. These acts of kindness go unnoticed and unrecognized. I'm inspired by these people. I'm energized by them. I am truly grateful to them. And so I'm accepting this award on their behalf, because it is thanks to thousands of people who, like Yocheved, simply reached out a hand that lives are changed. All it takes is a hand that reaches out. Like Basia Pare's daughter, who reached out her hand, not even dreaming or expecting or knowing that Hashem would make a miracle and her arm would extend so that she could save baby Moshe. Basia didn't make calculations. Our job isn't to make calculations. It's to reach out our hand when somebody needs us and let Hashem do the rest. When we were on Shlichus at NYU, there was a student who used to daven with the conservative minyan in the Jewish Student Center. My son Shloimi, just a toddler then, took a liking to him, probably because tall Matt would pick him up and put him on his shoulders, and my son had a totally different view of the world from up there. And so every Friday before Matt would go to join the conservative services, Shloimi would reach out his hand to Matt. He didn't have deep discussions with him. He didn't even know Aleph Beis to teach Matt. But he could reach out his hand, and he would say, Matt, pick me up. Today, Matt is the father of a beautiful Hasidic family on Shlichus. He one time shared with me that Shloimi reaching out his hand was a huge encouragement for him on his Jewish journey. One time, my daughter came home from school with a score on her math test that was lower than usual. I was curious what had happened. Chaya told me, "My friend asked me if I could give her a hand studying for the math test. Helping her meant that I couldn't review what I needed to." In my book, Chaya had scored an A+ because she had given a hand. Thank you to everyone in our community who reaches out a hand. Of course, the biggest thank you is to, and the biggest Hakara Satov goes to the Rebbe. The Rebbe put acts of kindness at the forefront of preparing the world for Mashiach. But did we really need that reminder? In Tehillim we read, Olam Chesed Yibane, that the world is built and in the future will be rebuilt on kindness. And didn't Shimon HaTzadik say that the world stands on 3 things and one of them is acts of kindness? The Navi Micha tells us 3 things that are good and that Hashem demands of us, and one of them is to love kindness. And the Gemara says that if a Jew doesn't exhibit 3 character traits, and one of them is acts of kindness, his Jewish pedigree can be called into question. But in the hecticness of our lives, it's easy to forget. And so the Rebbe emphasized it once more. And he reminded us that it doesn't need to be huge, grandiose actions that attract attention and shake up the world, because even one small act of kindness can change the world for good. What is your message to the world? The Rebbe was asked by CNN. Mashiach is ready to come now. Our part is to increase in acts of goodness and kindness. The Rambam teaches in Hilchos Tshuva that each one of us should view the world as perfectly balanced between good and evil. Any individual's act of kindness can be the one that will tip the scale and bring Yeshua not only to that individual, but to the entire world with the revelation of Mashiach. May it be now.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Now I get to award the category of this Classmate for $1,000, but I'm going to first read the nomination. It's written anonymously. I have known Rachel for almost 10 years, and I've never been upset or hurt by her for even a moment. She does everything for me. She helps me with my homework and tests. I don't even have to ask. She offers right away. She gives up everything for another girl. Her recess is spent helping girls with their homework and studying for tests. She never has a moment to herself. She is just so sweet. She wouldn't hurt anyone for the world. In the beginning of the school year, as we had to choose a job, I asked her if she wanted to do a choir with me. She pretended to really want to do choir and said even if I didn't ask, she would have done it. I was so happy. I thought she truly wanted to do it. But later I discovered she did it just to be kind to me. She didn't want to hurt my feelings and said she wanted to do something else. That choir was so fun. I enjoyed it so much, all thanks to her. Another time, she got in trouble for something I did. She could have just told the teacher it was me. Instead, she went along with it for my benefit. Rachel has literally changed my life. She always says something kind and includes everyone. She never says a single mean thing. I look up to her. If not for her, I wouldn't be here nominating her today. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Moss from Beis Rivka, 8th grade. Special. Take a picture. Just take a picture, okay? Thank you so much. And one more classmate was nominated, and I'm going to read her nomination, also written anonymously. I have no words to explain how kind this person is. Just by walking into a room where this person is inside, you feel lighter, more loved, more cared for, more comfortable, because this person has the best attitude I've ever seen in my entire life. This girl walks in the door every single day with a smile on her face. Whether she's upset, having a hard day, she just makes sure every single person in school is happy. She's always laughing, always smiling, constantly doing good things for other people. She helped me realize that having a positive attitude can really change your mindset, and it can bring you out of any darkness, and she really changed my life because now that she's in it, I'm way happier, and I look forward to coming to school because she's there. This kind girl's name is Chaya Mushka Bialo. I feel like now it's Chaya's turn to be on the receiving end instead of the giving end. Chaya, please come up.
Thank you, Mussy.
Here comes Mussy. So this is we're going a little off script here, but we have one more award. Hadassah received quite a few nominations as a classmate for her kindness, her generous spirit, and for care she showed those she came in contact with. Her friend Khani sent in the nomination anonymously. When we reached out to let her know that we'd like to give an honorary award to her sweet friend based on what she wrote, Khani Lazel agreed to come up and read what she wrote about her dear friend, Hadassah Lubavitch. Khani?
Even though my friend Hadassah Lubavitch passed away, she is such a... Wait. She is and always a really, really great role model to me, and I love her so much. She inspired me to always be happy because she was always so happy, even when she wasn't feeling good. She was always happy and just cared for everyone. She never gave up on anything that she did and was such a good friend, hairstylist, baker, and artist. Every time she walked into a room, she just made the room brighter. I love her. I miss her so much.
I humbly invite Esther and Zalman Lubavitch to accept a plaque honoring their precious Hadassah's kindness. She's not coming up? Can I read the plaque?
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us in celebrating Yocheved's life and birthday in this magnificent way. She loved her 24th birthday, the last one we celebrated together physically, during COVID. Intimate. We surprised her, which was challenging, and it was such fun. Her funny, smart, generous spirit was on full display, and the video of that night, thanks Rivka, still makes me laugh. Another friend said to me, mostly when I think of Yocheved, it's not something I can describe. It's all the feels of her smile, her laugh, her eyes, her curiosity, her humor, her radiance. I will hold on to these always. I think she's proud. I wish she were here, but I feel her with me, always. A soul feels comforted when loved ones do acts of goodness and kindness, remain healthy and strong to serve Hashem and trust in a brighter tomorrow. So in addition to all this that we are doing tonight, and we are honoring Yocheved in this way, my sister Shana and her friend Racheli also set up a site for the duration of her birthday, and everyone can click on any act for themselves or for another in Yocheved's honor. And there are options for all ages and stages, and circling back to what Avrami spoke about earlier, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, there's options on that page, including you can do something for yourself as well, or for somebody else. And there are also charity boxes around the room. If anyone wants to give coins, it's an opportunity for tzedakah. Thank you all for your kind attention, and now I'm going to actually hand this over to an actual speaker. The Yocheved Gourarie Kindness Award is a project of the Meaningful Life Center and is with great honor and deep gratitude that I ask you to join me in welcoming the head of the Meaningful Life Center and my dear cousin, Rabbi Simon Jacobson, to share some words of inspiration.
Dini, Avrami, I don't think you need a speaker here tonight, to be honest. I actually feel out of place. You know, speakers are performers. Performers, they're not all con artists, but some are. I'm not going to weigh in about myself. I'll let you decide. But performers, we have many in this world. And actually, what makes this evening so powerful is just impossible to ignore, just the sincere simplicity of a kind act. And one of the things that the Baal Shem Tov so revolutionized was because he came at a time where there was plenty of Torah scholarship and piety and devotion, but he recognized what was being lost was the heart. You know, you could know everything. Like they say, you can know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. And the concept of Rachmana Libabai, that God wants the heart, the simple heart, transcends all the scholarship and all the brilliance and all the words of the Torah, as was mentioned here. And that's why Ahavas Yisrael is the foundation of it all. In the words of Rabbi Akiva, Klal Gadol B'Torah, in the words of Hillel, that's the entire Torah and everything else is commentary. And unfortunately, we live in a, what shall we say, a dog-eats-dog world, survival of the fittest. And people even kind people can be quite cruel. You know, there's an inherent selfishness in human beings. That's the way God made us. And it's a struggle to sometimes fight that. As much as we have a noble side and a kind side within us, there is that dimension. You know, those two guys that went camping at night, middle of the night, one of them wakes up and he hears a bear rustling about, and he wakes up his friend and says, "We got to get out of here, there's a bear here." And while he's telling him this, he's tying his shoelaces on his sneakers. And the friend says to him, as he's rubbing his eyes, he says, "Do you think you can outrun the bear?" He says, "No, all I have to do is outrun you." This is not the evening, right? But this is an attitude. You know, first comes me. And then sometimes someone else fits in. I remember once a class I was giving, and there was a woman there who had just given birth, and she told me that when she was pregnant, her little daughter asked her, "Mommy, how do you have room inside you for someone else?" And I was thinking to myself, men don't even have room for people outside of themselves. Now, I've never experienced pregnancy, just full disclosure. But the concept of understanding that a human being can contain another, and it's not just a small thing, it's your entire being, teaches you something about how Hashem created the world, that all of us here, began in our mother's womb for 9 months, totally submerged, totally protected. Yes, here's my mother right here. I always make it a habit whenever she comes to a talk I give to acknowledge her, because I learned everything I know, the whole Torah, in her womb, and since then it's been downhill. So, without going into details of our schooling system, I know great schools. So the point is that our very essence is fed and sustained and driven by love. So it's odd when you look around and you see people can be cruel and hateful and judgmental and all the negative vices, and I'm sure all of us have been guilty of this from time to time. So then we have an evening like this, we have a celebration of kindness, simple kindness. You see, that's why I'm saying all the people that came up here are not speakers. That's what makes it so beautiful, makes it so real. It's not the performance thing. I remember when we were in high school, so I had learned in the yeshiva Bedford and Dean, they weren't giving out kindness awards then for many reasons. So then I was in 8th grade, and then we moved 9th grade, high school, to Ocean Parkway. So we were these wild Lubavitcher kids that made our teachers miserable. And looking back in retrospect, we actually were quite cruel, to be very honest. And I remember the teachers, obviously some of them we couldn't take advantage of, but some we could. And those really, they suffered. And I used to always think about it, even when we made them nuts. I was always like, so I remember one particular teacher who unfortunately had a little stutter. And I can't tell you, I mean, I think I'd like to believe I wasn't the good ringleader, but I probably participated a bit, and we really drove him crazy. Years later, I wanted to actually reach out to him. I couldn't find him. His name was Mr. Blank. That's not a joke. His name was actually Mr. Blank. It was not anonymous. And he taught us English literature. And I really looked for him everywhere. I really wanted to call him and apologize. But then I remember that year, because the English teachers were replaced. I think we had 6 of them, because we literally drove them nuts, and they quit, one after the next. Just trying to point out the value of an evening like this. I'm not trying to tell you a horror story here. But I remember sometime in the year, we had someone came to speak to us. I guess the principal was aware that we could be that way. So someone came to speak to us, and he was like a very good speaker. I don't remember who it was. And he told us, how old were we? We were bar mitzvah, basically, around 13 years old, 12, 13. And he told us the story that he had met a big philanthropist. And he asked him, what drove you to philanthropy? So he said, well, when I was a little child, I was orphaned. And I was passed on from family to family. And you can imagine going from one home to the other, being abused, being hurt, being ignored, being ridiculed. And I was literally, I remember I would sometimes wander in the streets. I didn't even want to go home. And this is the philanthropist speaking. He's telling us the story. Until one day somebody showed me some kindness, just out of the blue, saw me there dirty in a street. You know, one of the saddest things to see a child lost, you know, children defenseless, vulnerable. And he helped me. He helped me, asked me, what's going on with your life? You know, he helped me put me on my feet a bit. He was kind. First I was suspicious of him, but he was really a gentle, kind person. Then I found out he was a Holocaust survivor. The story continues. And that little boy, he was a little boy in the concentration camp. And we know the children, almost no one survived, because that's who the first they killed, Yimach Shemam. But some of the children did escape. You see these horrific scenes where they would hide in the latrines and the most disgusting places, in the cesspools, because that was the only place to hide. He says, I was one of those children, and I did hide, and there was a guard that actually was nice to me. And I made a decision that if I survive this, I will use all my powers to show kindness, especially to children that are in need. And that's how this philanthropist was saved by a Holocaust survivor like that. And he made a decision that he would do the same and he would be kind. And he's telling us the story. And I remember I literally probably burst out in tears, because here we are, not in a Holocaust scenario, completely nonsensical cruelty, showing to a teacher. I mean, I can't say we did anything that was criminal, but it was abusive, it was hurtful. And this is the world in which we live. So the idea of a gesture of kindness is something that's in our power any given moment. You know, as I said, I'm sure all of us can look into our hearts and we'll find a moment that we may have been a little insensitive or callous. And as was mentioned by so many of you that spoke, the whole purpose of existence was chesed. When David HaMelech asked God, he said, why did you create differences between people? Why did you create the class system? You meet wealthy people, poor people. Why create poverty? You have all the money and the gold, Liya Kesev, Liya Hazov. You have all the money. You could have created equality, make everybody equal. And the same thing with other gifts. Why are there those that have more and those that have less? Everybody has something, but some have more, some have less. And Hashem, God answers David HaMelech. He said, Chesed ve'emes ma yitzruah. If I did that, there'd be no purpose to existence. I wanted a world that would be chesed. And how would anyone do chesed if everybody was equal? So Chassidus takes it a step further and says, so in other words, if someone has less, someone has more, it's not because they earned it or they didn't earn it. It's because Hashem, in his mysterious ways, wanted chesed. He wanted to demonstrate and test us and prove that we can rise above and transcend a lot of our narcissistic or selfish temptations and really show an act of kindness. So being able to do such an evening like this, and I remember when Avrami and Dini and Eli and the others that were involved first asked me, not that I didn't really feel that, like, it's not like something we initiated at the Meaningful Life Center, but when I understood the gravity of what this was, I said, what an honor to be able to be part of something, to get all the credit and not do any work. Wow, that's unbelievable. I'm not me that doesn't do the work. The team of the Meaningful Life Center works very hard. So you don't get such opportunities every day. So thank you for the kindness. So to be part of that and just to be able to honor and celebrate that kindness like that, with the objective being very straightforward here. I mean, this is not an evening just one night here. It's that for us, all of us, to go away with a sense and a commitment. There's a lot of cruelty going on, my friends. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. And you just have to be, keep your eyes open and sensitive, because that's the key to everything. You never know. Kind word. Sometimes you have to protest even if you see something wrong being done. It means, the Rebbe would use the expression, simas lev, you care. Someone cares. It's not even the solution always, but if no one cares, you're definitely not going to find solutions. To care. I'll share with you, I remember once speaking one of my Sunday night programs on My Life Chassidus Applied about the power of a mashpia. So in 1976, the Tovshin Lamed Zayin at the end of Yutas Kislev, the Rebbe spoke very strongly about mashpiyim, essentially mentors, that everybody should volunteer to be a mentor to others. And the Rebbe made it very clear. He says this is not it's not a lifetime appointment. You have to offer yourself. You never know. It could be one mashpia for one person. We're not talking about the bulk rates here. We're talking about one individual that offers help, advice, friendship, support, sympathy, a sympathetic ear. I spoke about that, and I said it's really not about doing something necessarily dramatic, just caring. A few weeks later, I got a phone call from a woman in this community, anonymous, not anonymous to me as well. I don't know who she is. Till this day, I don't know who she is. And she told me that she heard that program, and she realized she has to do something about a situation that was going on in her home. She was a landlord with her husband in one of the homes in Crown Heights, and her tenant downstairs, a young couple, and they were always fighting. She says, to the point we wanted to shut the doors, but we couldn't. Every time, we tried to lock out all the cries and the screams going on, we just couldn't do it. So we just ignored it. What are you going to do? And I thought, I'm not going to go mix into their business. I don't know what the situation is. But then I heard you speak that the Rebbe said that the person has to always go out of their way and maybe they can help. So I decided to muster up some strength and courage. And I waited, I looked out the window. One day I saw when she was walking out of the house. I ran down the steps, made believe like I bumped into her. And I thought I'd talk to her woman to woman, heart to heart. And I would tell her straightforward that it's not like I want to mix into your life and I'm not interested and I actually don't want to hear what's going on. But I do hear that there's something happening, and maybe you wanted to talk to someone. And if you don't want to talk to me, I'll never bring it up again. It's like it never happened. I mean, it's pretty tough to do that, but she did it. And you should see, she said the woman started crying. She's living already in this community years. Nobody has ever talked to her. The mere fact that she offered, and they became friends, and she was able to talk through her issues. I mean, I don't even know the end of the story, but it's just enough that one act that we can change something. So there's no one that could say, no one, because this isn't about necessarily being the greatest person on earth. No one, we're all hashgacha pratis. Right now, each of you have your sphere of influence. There are people you know that I don't know. There are people that come your way, whether they're co-workers, whether they're colleagues, friends, relatives, or strangers. It may be someone you meet on a commute, on a subway. But the idea is that we are here not just to be passive observers, observant Jews, observing others. We're here to be proactive, to initiate, to generate. That's the purpose of why your neshama came down to this world. As simple as that. When the Baal Shem Tov said that a neshama, we know this song, everyone sings it, and we see it in Hayem Yem, that a neshama comes down to this earth and lives 70, 80 years in toils and sweats and struggles in this world, could be that the only reason was to find one person to do a favor for them. I remember once the Rebbe spoke this, he repeated it, and he said, do we understand? He said, the Rebbe asked him to himself and to us, he said, do you understand the gravity of this statement? That it came down just for that? Not for Shabbos, and not for kosher, and not for tefillin, and not for lighting candles. Obviously, once we're here, we have to perform all the mitzvahs, but that's not why your neshama came down. If it wasn't for that favor, your neshama would have remained in heaven, and you wouldn't have done all the mitzvahs in your life. That's the extent what the Baal Shem Tov said. It's pretty radical when you think about it. That's the purpose. The thing is, we don't know what the favor is. And I'll conclude with a story about that. There was a Jew who needed a particular bracha for something. So his shliach, I think he came from the Midwest, said to him, there was no yechidus anymore. You couldn't go into the Rebbe personally, and dollars hadn't begun yet. So he said to him, here, you have an eitzah, I'll tell you what to do. After the Rebbe finishes davening mincha, so he goes back to his room. So stand in the outer hall. The Rebbe walks by, lean over and say something, and the Rebbe will probably stop and you could say a few words to him. Okay, as all plans go, you plan and plan. He's all ready to do all this. The Bochum got a wind of it, and they surrounded him, and they never let him get over to the Rebbe. Okay, so that's it. So the Shliach tells him, okay, a second plan B. Plan B is at 10 o'clock in the morning, on Mondays and Thursdays, the Rebbe goes to 770 for Kriyas HaTorah. So stand on President Street. There's no one that can really surround you. It's like an open street. The Rebbe will come down the steps. He goes to the car. That's when you'll go over to him. Well, there were Bochrim there too. There were always Bochrim everywhere. They're everywhere. What should I say? But this time they couldn't surround him because it was just too big of an open space. So he went over and the Rebbe spoke to him, I think, for 5 or 6 minutes. And he poured out his heart and soul and whatever it was that he wanted. Afterwards, the Bochum gave him a chelik. They started yelling at him after the Rebbe left and went into the car. The Rebbe, they said to him, a chutzpah, you had no appointment. Just take the Rebbe's time. You don't do such a thing. So he felt really bad. So he wrote a letter into the Rebbe in English, apologizing that he didn't realize it's not the right protocol. And he should have not done that. And he writes that the Bochum made it clear to him and they yelled at him and so on. Well, the Rebbe gave out an answer, but not to him, to the Anhola, to the faculty in the yeshiva. He said to find out which Bochum were there at 10 o'clock that Thursday morning, and ask them, first of all, Kimeduma, the Rebbe had his way of being a little humorous. He said, I think at 10 o'clock, the minyan in 770, what are the Bochum doing on President Street? The Rebbe wants to understand. What are they doing on President Street when they should be davening? And the second thing the Rebbe wrote, which was the main thing, the Rebbe wrote, I'm sure the Bochum probably know the words of the Baal Shem Tov, that a neshama comes down to this world to do a favor for maybe the entire life, just to do a favor for a Jew. How do you know, he said to ask the Bochum, that my neshama, the Rebbe's neshama, didn't come down to do a favor for this Jew? How do you get involved in these cosmic issues that God makes these plans? You hear this? I'm sure we could all find that many reasons the Rebbe came to this world, but that's what the Rebbe said, simply taking the Baal Shem Tov's words to heart. So I want to say to myself and to each one of you, in addition to the honors that we've seen here tonight and all the beautiful gestures and the kindness and simple levels, complex levels, that we should all go away here because we're all awardees in a way and we're all charged with a mission, and the mission is to be kinder, to look out. You never know. You see someone, don't ignore them. It's one of the worst things to ignore someone who may be in pain. It doesn't mean you have to mix into other people's lives. Obviously, it has to be done with discretion and respect, but to care and to show that care. And yes, when you see something inappropriate, you think there'd be bullying in the schools, and you think there'd be other acts of cruelty that people show each other if others cared and just let it be. Silence is complicity. So let's all go away with that, because there's no question, as Mrs. Cohen said from the Rambam, that one act of kindness can tip the scale. You want to bring the Geula, you have to change something. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. The world can be a very harsh world, a very hostile world. But we, especially Jews, Chassidim, who are trained and saturated with the spirit of Ahavas Yisrael, we have to see wherever you are, any environment you're in, you need to not leave it neutral. You come there to bring something, to be, as we say, not part of the problem, but part of the solution. And I don't see a greater tribute to Yocheved and to your family, Dini and Avrami and all the family and all, by extension, all of us, and all the supporters and all the guests and families here, to honor that, and that would make it really worthwhile to say, wow, we have created something that is a revolution of kindness and goodness that will tip the scale and bring the Geula, both personally and collectively. And we will have shifted the needle, moved the needle, made a paradigm shift from a world that was a little less kind to a world that's a little kinder and gentler. And the world has been shifting in that direction, but there's still obviously a few more things to do to come to the finish line. So thank you for allowing me to say a few words and being part of this special evening. The simple tmimizdik love and kindness that is shown by people on a daily basis to honor that, and the mehem yiru v'chein yasu, people will learn from that as a dugma chaya. I don't think there's a greater thing that you can be doing. And thank you so much again. And may we be zeich merit, as I said, that favor, why your neshama came down to this world, that favor, that will, and that kindness that will tip the scales and bring the geula. Thank you.
I quickly want to take a little detour and call up a good friend of the Gourarie Mishpacha and a Rebbe to hand out an award. Welcome to Rabbi Yitzi Ross.
I was fortunate to speak to Yocheved quite a few times over the past few years. Always doing the sound. We spoke when she was in the hospital a few times, and we discussed chinuch a lot. Yocheved had a lot of ideas about chinuch, many wonderful ideas, and I would bounce ideas off her, and she would say to me very often, "That's a great idea." But the incredible thing is, she never said it's a bad idea. She would say, "That's an interesting idea." I've been married to my Eshes Chayil for many years. I know what interesting means. For the Bachurim here, not good. But Yocheved didn't have that bone of saying, "I don't like that idea." So she said, "It's an interesting idea." What's really incredible about tonight is how this came to be. Because over the past 27 years as a Rebbe, I have seen families going through many challenging times. During these challenging times, they come up with these great ideas and these concepts. And over the months, the concepts fade and the ideas pass. What happened, though, is, look at this. This is incredible. You have a group of people coming together, set up by, of course, Avrami and Dini, along with Eli Nash and many other people. They took a challenging event and created a beautiful concept out of it. A concept that not only gives recognition to the wonderful Rebbeim and Moros out there, but pushes the kids to look up to the Rebbeim and to nominate them. This is not only a great idea, but this is right up Yocheved's alley. And we have no doubt that she's looking down at this and saying, "This is incredible. This is exactly what I would have wanted." So we have a bit of a special presentation tonight. I'd like to call up, please, Avrami and Dini to come up. You stand next to your wife. This says, "This Excellence in Leadership Award is presented to Avrami and Dini Gourarie for showing determination in the face of hardship. We are confident that Yocheved is looking down with a smile. Yehi ratzon mifnei Avinu shebashamayim, shetamshich lashpia revos ba'avodosecha mitoch briyut, ashiras v'simcha." Amen ken yehi ratzon. It is signed by many, many of Yocheved's friends, and I would like to give a special shout out to Sarolea, Samantha, and Rashi for helping make this happen. Thank you all. I have another one for Eli Nash also, but he's not here. So can I ask you to give it to him?
Could you about this?
What?
Could you about this?
No, he would have missed it otherwise.
Thank you. Wow.
All right, thank you. And thank you for all the speakers. Great job, Father. I want to congratulate all the winners. I want to congratulate every single nominee and every single nominator. I want to also point out that the acts of kindness are the wins. The acts of kindness from each person to each other, to our students, to each other is the winner. So we are all winners tonight. And remember that kindness is contagious. I encourage myself and each and every one of you to take on the challenge to be kinder, to plant the seed and spread kindness. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your family, your spouse, your children, your friends, and the stranger behind you in line. Smile, compliment, listen, encourage, care, love. Together, let's spread kindness to one heart, one community, one world at a time. Please remember that on the way out, you're going to get a beautiful bookmark. Remember to scan your QR codes. You can nominate already for the upcoming year. Be kind and take account of the and take notice of the kindness and nominate, share. It's all about spreading. You do it to someone, they do it to the next person. There's also beautiful kindness cards that were created that when you see someone being kind or someone does something kind to you, feel free to share it. And when they see something being kind, they can share it on. And it's up to us to continue this ripple effect. I also want to just give kindnessaward.com is our website. DoItForYocheved.com for her birthday, which is actually right now, started tonight. Number 4. Do it. Number 4 for Yocheved. We got it. And please, for her birthday, take on a mitzvah. There's so many different opportunities, and please continue to spread kindness. And now we had so many heartfelt moments. We laughed, we cried. Let's get this party started. Please join me in celebrating the winners with some delicious food and drinks. Thank you all for coming.